Do up Scope. Hello, my name is Chaudoir, just Guy at Scope, makes it easier. If we can never employ another Guy. I have said that to our HR team, makes life easier. I'm an employment team manager at Scope, and I manage Scope's support to work service as well as looking after some of our other employment services as well. And what I want to talk to you today about is employment support as part of a large campaign and some stuff we're doing at Scope around employment and disabled people. So I hope you've heard of Scope, and if anyone's seen the BBC sitcom Mum, they had a very interesting point that somebody was donating some stuff to Scope so they can do more scoping, because never really knows what to do. But we're a disability equality charity. We operate in England and Wales, and we provide practical information and emotional support when it's most needed, and we campaign relentlessly to create a fairer society for disabled people. We've been delivering employment support to disabled people since 1957, back when we were the Spastic Society. And we've been scoped since 1994, and we're a pan-disability organisation, so we support anybody who considers themselves to have a disability or parents of disabled children. What I do is I work on our support to work service, and I want to talk about how we kind of work on that. So, as I said, we've been delivering employment support since 1957, and we've kind of done everything. Delivered DWP, ESF projects, work step, work choice, work programme, pretty much anything with work on, we kind of went, yep, we'll have some of that. But what that meant was that we were kind of in conflict with ourselves as an organisation. So we would be delivering work programme, for example, and mandatory work activity, and we'd have disabled people come to us as a disabled people's charity saying, I'm getting my money stopped by contracts because I'm getting sanctioned because I couldn't go to an appointment because I was too ill. And so our policy team and our campaigns team were actively campaigning against anything mandatory work activity sanctions. But on the other side of the organisation, we were delivering that. So that became a real kind of headbutt in terms of what service, and wasn't really very joined up. So about 2 years ago, we had a new strategy, which is called Everyday Equality. As part of that, we've said we'll no longer do that. So we currently, and for the future, in fact, never, we don't deliver any mandatory work activity, we don't deliver any DWP contracts. So that takes out a massive chunk of your income and puts the people who work in employment services in a bit of a quandary about how we're going to do and what we're going to do. So what we did do is work with our corporate partners and find our funding through that. So we've been working with Virgin Media since about 2005, and we've really wanted to work with them to highlight the digital divide that a lot of disabled people have, and access to the internet. And we've done lots of projects in terms of that, because we're seeing that's a big gap. But in 2007, after lots of consultations with disabled people that we work with, we found that access to technology is really important. But also the most significant factor, as everyone in this room will know, is that finding work helps you live the life you choose. So we've got a shared focus to try and look at this. So currently in the UK, there are 7.2 disabled people of working age. 3.6 million of them are out of work. So that's a 30% employment gap. So I like the sound we're talking about some gaps here and some gaps in terms of that, so I like that. So this is the gap, and this has stayed the same for the last 10 years. So more and more people, as Andrew was saying first, are employed, but the gap between non-disabled and disabled people in employment is at 30%, and it's been stuck that way. And 74% of people we spoke to said they'd lost a job because of their disability condition or impairment. So we want to do something about that, but we want to do something in a bit more kind of a joined up kind of way. So as part of our partnership with Virgin Media, our aim is to support 1 million disabled people with skills and confidence to get into and stay in work by 2020. Big target. Concerns my team, who deliver employment support, they're like 1 million people, but we're doing this in 3 ways. And we're doing it across a campaign that goes across the whole organisation. So it's not just our services, it's not just our employment services, It's across marketing, it's across fundraising, it's across campaigning, it's across our retail shops. So we've got 215 retail stores across England and Wales that raise vital funds for the organisation. But really we wanted to make sure that the employment was a focus through them so people were aware of what we're doing. So in terms of our Work With Me campaign, so it's called Work With Me. Lots of people in the organisation call it hashtag Work With Me, and it makes me cringe, but apparently it is hashtag Work With Me. So a big part of this is about businesses. So Andrew talked earlier about how businesses are vitally important, and they really are, because we want them to change the way they recruit, change the way they talk about disability, and talk to their employees about disability and how they recruit, change recruitment practices. So we've asked people to become more inclusive. And so we say this is our pledge, and we want employers to sign up to this. So there are 14 million disabled people in the UK, which is 1 of 5 of us. Disabled people are shut out of the workplace. They encounter barriers from preventing them from entering, staying and progressing in work. And so we can't reach that million target on our own as an organisation or as Virgin Media. They can't recruit another million people. But we want to do this. So we're asking people to sign up to our pledge, which has 5 simple steps about people becoming a more inclusive employer. And we have a team working on this. When employers reach out to us and say, we want to recruit more disabled people, how do we do it? How do we reach them? And so we spend a lot of time talking to businesses about this and talking about how they can change one slight thing to their recruitment practice that might make things better and make them a better employer of disabled people. Another part of the Work With Me pledge and campaign is Support to Work. So this is my service that I manage. It's a national employment service for disabled people of working age. So they need to be 16 plus, have a disability, condition or impairment, and want to find a job. It's online and telephone support, and it covers England and Wales. There's no benefit requirement, there's no hours requirement, that's the only eligibility. So my team work with disabled people who sign up to our service to help them find work. So it is employability skills that we all know, our bread and butter, CVs, cover letters, but what I spend a lot of focus on is how to talk to an employer about your disability. What would you need? What adjustments might you need? How can they make it better? What could you suggest to an employer to get that support? And that's where we find that people really get the most value out of the service, because they're like, I didn't know how to talk to an employer about my disability or my condition or impairment. I didn't know how to ask for the support that I need, and I know I'd be a good employee. What's really good about the service is that it's online and over the phone, that somebody doesn't have to come to us. So we're reaching people who wouldn't traditionally get employment support because they can't leave their house because of their condition or impairment, or they're in a remote location where they have to spend 2 hours on the bus to go to an appointment to see someone. There's also no benefit requirements, so the eligibility is very broad. So we want to aim to reach quite a lot of people through this service by 2020. So in 2018, we targeted ourselves, and this is the good thing about this, there's no DWP targets these are very much our targets, but I'm a slave driver to my team on video, oh dear, but I really want them we want to meet these targets, so do that. So we want to support 500 people on this service in 2018, and we reached 614. We doubled that for this year, so we want to reach 1,000 people. We've done 300 so far, so some work to do, but we're very much on track for that. And then another 1,000 people in 2020 with this individualised, personalised employment support. Services support for up to 12 weeks, and it's done over the phone, through online chat, and through online BSL, which is a great part of the technology. So if someone is a BSL user, they use their webcam, they sign to an interpreter who's got a webcam somewhere else, and then that interpreter then talks to the advisor over the phone. So we're trying to get as much accessibility to the service as we can. We've also got an online chat function, and we use a lot of screen sharing to work with people to develop their CVs, their cover letters, presentations they might have to do for a job interview, and also a good way to do mock interviews. And we're seeing a lot in the recruitment sphere of telephone interviews being a big thing, so we're doing a lot of kind of prep for those as well. Obviously, we've set ourselves as an organisation a massive target. So we've got these targets in terms of what we're doing on support to work, but as part of the bigger Work With Me campaign, we've also generated a lot of online content. So we've worked with collaboration with disabled people, internal and external experts, and created online employment advice, which covers most parts of trying to get into work and support people to get in and also progress in work. So I was very interested to see what Andrew was talking about that. So I've spoken to our digital team and they've told me this is what our content did in April this year. So we had 27,000 users, 33,000 sessions, our pages were viewed 90,000 times, and the average time spent on the page is 2.5 minutes, which if you know anything about web content and people looking on the website, that's quite a long time. And so the advice covers everything from applying for work, looking for work, to getting promoted, to dealing with any issues at work, and signposts to the relevant organisations that people might need help with, like if they've got issues at work, so ACAS, and also to our helpline at Scope. In 2018, we wanted to reach 100,000 users. We actually reached 120,000 users. And this year we intend to reach 400,000 users, and I think we're about halfway on that already. So there's a lot of advice and support on there that you're very welcome to signpost any disabled people that you might be working with onto our online content as well. What I wanted to kind of finish up with is just a bit of feedback from customers, which is all obviously vital, and I didn't want to bore you with a video, but there's plenty of videos to watch on our website, but just a couple of bit of feedback which I think really demonstrates what my team are doing. So Scope have been invaluable. I felt like they've got me out of a black hole that I'd been stuck in. And this one says, I couldn't see a future, I couldn't see where I was going or how I was going to get there until I found support to work. So that's really good in terms of how people are accessing the service and how people are finding the service as well. I feel I've talked at you. Loads of more information on our website. The employer pledge can be found at workwithme.support, or links to our website as well, or come and find me and have a chat if you want to know more about what we're doing at Scope in terms of employment as a part of the organisation. Thank you.